YouTube fam, thank you for visiting my channel today. My name is Gina Marie and I come here to discuss solved and unsolved true crime cases, as well as crime stats and missing persons cases that I feel have not gotten enough attention on mainstream media. If you are interested in these types of cases like I am, I hope you will choose to subscribe to my channel and go ahead and hit that little bell next to the subscribe button, and YouTube will notify you whenever I upload new content. My videos and content are intended for mature audiences only, and viewer discretion is definitely advised. Today's topic is about child abuse. I was planning on doing a Did You Know episode with general statistics and facts about child abuse in the United States. However, as I was doing the research, I came upon a case that was extremely disturbing. Even though I do not enjoy talking about these things, and this will be very hard to listen to, if you are able to, I hope you watch until the end. There is no victim more innocent than a defenseless child. I do not enjoy talking about these topics, but we all need to open our eyes to what is going on, and we all need to help put an end to it. So let's begin. It is estimated that at least 1 in 7 children in the U.S. has experienced child abuse and or neglect in the past year. Neglect is the most common form of child abuse, and that's followed by physical, sexual, and then psychological abuse. In 2020, the national estimate in the United States of America of children who died from abuse and neglect was 1,750 children. In 2018, 76% of child abusers were those children's parents. Also in 2018, 62% of children placed in foster care were removed from their homes due to abusive neglect, totaling over 160,000 children. Children and families with low socioeconomic status are 5 times more likely to be abused than children in families with higher socioeconomic status. Children who experienced any type of violence in the home have a 13% greater chance than other children of not graduating from high school. Adults who were abused as children are more likely to experience mental health issues, more likely to use drugs and or alcohol, and are more likely to become an abuser themselves than adults that did not experience abuse as children. Children younger than 1 year old are the most vulnerable to abuse, and they account for almost 1/2 of all child fatalities from abuse. And that brings me to the story of Baby Brianna, a beautiful little girl who lived 153 days in pure hell. Brianna Maria Lopez was born on Valentine's Day in 2002. The horrendous torture that she was forced to endure every single day of her very short life ultimately ended her life at only 5 months old. Brianna's parents were Stephanie Lopez, age 19, and Andrew or Andy Walters, age 21. At the time that they had Brianna, they already had a son named Andy Jr., who was 13 months. The family of 4 were living in a room inside of a mobile home that belonged to Andy's mother. Stephanie's twin brother, Stephen, also shared that same room. Also living in this 3-bedroom trailer was Andy's mother, 43-year-old Patricia Walters, and then her other son, 23-year-old Robert Walters. Stephanie began abusing her daughter the day she first brought her home from the hospital. Stephanie had no patience for a fussy baby. She would assault her by pinching and slapping at her at first, and she hoped the attack would result in the baby crying so hard that she'd fall asleep faster. Just became fun to her after that. As the attacks got more frequent, they also got more brutal. That fucking cowardly bitch would think of new ways to hurt her baby to keep herself entertained. Everyone in that house heard that baby's screams. Nobody stepped in to help her. On the contrary, baby's father and uncle, Andy and Stephen, began abusing her as well. Those 3 pieces of shit made games out of doing evil shit to this baby. Both males sexually assaulted Brianna on numerous occasions, beginning at 2 weeks old. And what about the uncle or the grandmother? Well, they heard the screams, they saw the bruises, the broken bones. They did nothing. Absolutely nothing. And on the evening of July 18th, 2002, Brianna's mother, uncle, and father bought some beer and started drinking. According to everybody that was there, Stephanie went to bed a little early, leaving Brianna with her dad and uncle. They decided to stay up and drink and start playing with the baby, in their words. They would toss her in the air so hard that she hit the ceiling with her face, her head, and then they would let her drop to the ground instead of catching her. And that happened numerous times. All the time laughing as she was screaming in agony. The next morning, on July 19th, 2002, Stephanie called 911 to report that her daughter had stopped breathing. She attempted CPR until the paramedics got there, and then they rushed Brianna to the emergency room. Stephanie and Andrew told the doctor that Brianna fell off the bed and just stopped breathing. Obviously, the doctor knew that by looking at that baby, that their whole story was bullshit. Let me pause right here for a second just to say that obviously this is the shortened and condensed version of her story. Even though she only lived for 5 weeks, there is no way I can get through this video without crying. Like I've been doing for the last few days while researching this. The torture that this child went through was so severe. I'm giving enough detail for you to understand the situation, but I cannot go into every detail and make it through this video. So anyway, after multiple unsuccessful attempts to revive her, Brianna was pronounced dead at the hospital. Her body was battered and had a long list of damages. The forensic pathologist stated Brianna not only had the cranial cerebral injuries that ultimately killed her, brain damage, but also bruises and scrapes head to toe, front and back. She had 15 human bite marks on her body. She had the presence of both old and new blood within the membranes around the brain, which indicates that, other than the brain damage that killed her, she also suffered a separate brain injury in the past. Her optical nerves were also filled with old and new blood, indicating that she had been severely shaken on at least 2 separate occasions. Brianna had 2 separate skull fractures that were 5 to 7 days old. Almost her entire body was covered with bruises. She had 2 rib fractures on her right side that happened weeks prior to her death. She had bucket handle fractures on the tops of both thighs. She had a fracture through the top of her left arm. These injuries are caused either by being twisted, pulled, or yanked. Her anus and vagina were severely injured. I will not go into those details other than to say that the injuries were a result of multiple rapes and molestations that started at 2 weeks old. Obviously, her death was ruled a homicide. The interrogations began. Following the interrogations, 5 people were arrested. Patricia and Robert Walters were charged and convicted of failure to report child abuse, and both received, get this, 60-day sentences. Stephanie, the mother, was convicted on 2 charges of negligently permitting child abuse, both resulting in and not resulting in death or great bodily harm. She was convicted, sentenced to 27 years to be served in the New Mexico Women's Correctional Facility in Grants, New Mexico. Disappointingly, she was paroled out to Texas, released on parole, September 25th, 2016, after serving just under half of her sentence. Andrew Walters, the baby father, was found guilty of intentional child abuse resulting in death or great bodily harm, conspiracy to commit intentional child abuse, criminal sexual penetration of a child under the age of 13 in the first degree, and intentional child abuse not resulting in death, and negligently permitting child abuse not resulting in death or great bodily harm. He was sentenced to 63 years. His first parole hearing, though, is scheduled for October 19th, 2025, and I hope he does not get it. Stephen Lopez was found guilty of intentional child abuse resulting in death or great bodily harm, criminal sexual penetration of a child under 13 years of age in the first degree, and was sentenced to 51 years. If you ask me, they all got off way too damn easy. A whole hell of a lot easier than Brianna did. I read an article that stated that when she was still in prison, she was making friends very easily. Everybody seemed to like her. Quiet and shy and well-liked, and there's no problems at all. And Andrew and Stephen, I guess, had a little bit harder time in prison, though. People picked on them or abused them or whatever, and they got scared. So now, because they got a little taste of their own medicine, they're allowing them to be transferred to other prisons, when I think personally that they should be just allowed to be tortured for the rest of their lives. This makes me sick. The tragic case of Brianna Lopez's death inspired the Baby Brianna bill in New Mexico, which instituted a mandatory 30-year sentence for people who are convicted of childhood abuse resulting in death. And their sentences only apply to people that are underneath the age of 13, but hopefully that will be changed soon. At least to 18. Brianna's parents did not want any marker or headstone to have Brianna's name on it. They had family build a dog kennel pretty much around her grave. They did not want people visiting the site to keep the public out and attempt to hide what they'd done. It was a locked dog kennel, basically, above her grave. I say fuck what they do or do not want, because they should have lost the right to decide when they tortured and murdered that child. So I am happy to say that the people in their community were outraged as well. They made Brianna a very beautiful memorial just outside of that little hideous cage with an adorable plaque and a handmade bench and lots of flowers and toys. It's a very nice spot for people to sit and visit and leave gifts and love. I was planning on telling more stories during this video. Researching has taken its toll on me this time. The pictures I've posted here were awful, but the ones that I've found that I looked at myself are way too graphic to show. Be glad that I didn't, because I will never get those pictures out of my head. If you know of a child in need of help, if you even suspect that a child is being abused, for goodness sakes, report it. Report them. Report it. I'm leaving resources in the description box below. There is no reason why you should not be reporting this. This video is dedicated to them and to every other innocent child who has been or is being abused. We cannot stay complacent. If you are hurting your child, get help. Give the baby to someone else to love and care for. Hell, fucking message me. I'll help you. The following photos are other children who lost their lives at the hands of people who were supposed to be loving them and protecting them.